Good morning and happy Monday. Today starts our book club on I Used to Be So Organized by Glennis Whitwer. So I'm really excited. I spent some time this weekend reading the first few chapters and I'm very excited about the book. I underlined a lot and I can't wait to be blogging and scoping more about this book. So good morning. I hope you're having a wonderful Monday morning. I got up early and we are starting a kind of new schedule today. Not terribly new, but just tweaked a few things and I am excited to see how it goes. Silas wanted to come and say hi. You say hi?
Hi.
This is Silas, and he loves to be in my scopes. I posted a funny picture of him last night on my Instagram. My Instagram is instagram.com/TheMoneySavingMom. I'm TheMoneySavingMom on Instagram. And about how his pants, I cannot seem to keep him in pants that fit him. You are growing like a weed, aren't you? Yes. And all his pants are turning into man-prees. So anyway, okay, are you gonna stay here? Or are you gonna go? You're gonna stay. Okay, you're gonna stay for a while. Okay, so I had told you all that I was gonna scope on Saturday, and then I ended up getting sick on a Friday night. I got the sickness that Silas had last week, and I didn't throw up, but I was super sick to my stomach and had a fever. And so on Saturday, I gave myself the day off. I gave myself a whole weekend off. And so that's what I did. And I'm feeling so much better. But you know, sometimes when you're taking care of sick kids and they're laying all over you, it's just kind of inevitable that you're gonna get sick. Hi, Mackenzie. I saw somebody said that it's 5 o'clock in California. I can't believe you all are quite the troopers to be up at 5:30 in the morning. Okay, so I didn't scope on Saturday, but I am gonna do a Money Making Mom scope this afternoon at 3 p.m. Central Time. Hey, Christy! All the West Coasters are here. Wow, I am impressed with you guys. Okay, so I am gonna scope this afternoon at 3 p.m. or thereabouts Central Time. And I'm going to be talking about how to get a book deal. This is a question that people ask me often. How do you get a book deal? And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the process. I did another scope kind of talking about my writing process, and now I'm going to talk about the whole publishing process and how you get a book deal and what that looks like. So that's at 3 p.m. Central Time. If you are new here, my name is Crystal Payne. I am the founder of MoneySavingMom.com, as well as the New York Times bestselling author of the book Say Goodbye to Survival Mode. And I'm also the creator of the 14-day online course called Make Over Your Mornings, and that's at makeoveryourmornings.com. If you're interested in learning more how to use your mornings well and start your day with success, go to makeoveryourmornings.com and you can read more about that course. I am also wife to Jesse. We've been married for 12 and a half years, and I am mom to Catherine, who is 10, Caitlin, who is 8, and Mr. Silas, who is 6, and who has funny calyx at the front of his head. That's okay. You're like your mommy. Mommy has those calyx too. I just can grow my hair out, and then you can't tell. Oh, thank you, Kat. Anyway, so today we're going to be talking about 4 scopers who I love to follow, and I'm also going to share with you a quote that I loved from our book that we're doing this week for book club. I used to be so organized. So we're going to talk about that. So many people have asked me about my favorite scopers to follow. I don't even know what we call them. Do we call them scopers, periscopers? I don't know. We need a word for them, but I'm just going to call them scopers. So many people have asked me about my favorite scopers, and so many people keep asking me. I did a scope way back in the beginning when I was first starting scoping, and that sounds so funny because I've only been scoping for a little while, but it feels like a long time. So I did a scope on this, and that is no longer on Catch, that is not on Catch because I didn't have a Catch account then. So I wanted to do this again for those of you who keep asking, and so that it will go up on my Catch account, because Catch is where all of my replays are for all of my scopes on replay are on Catch. And so that's at catch.me/MoneySavingMom. So katch.me/MoneySavingMom. So I wanted this to go up on Catch, and I also am going to do a post on this as well. And so I thought I'm just going to do another scope on it. So those of you who've been around a while will know probably what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. Okay, catch.me, the link on my site, no, Catch is a site that basically captures your scopes and then hosts them for you. So if anytime you want to watch a replay of one of my scopes, you didn't catch a scope from that day, it already expired, or you want to watch a scope and be able to fast forward, you can do that on Catch. So that's catch.me/MoneySavingMom. Okay, so my 4 favorite scopers. Number 1, John Acuff. I love John Acuff, and if somebody could do me a big favor, and as I say the names, if you could put their handles in the comments, that way if people want to follow them or check out their profiles, you can do that. So John Acuff, I think he's just at John Acuff. I think that's his handle. And I love John Acuff because he's quirky and he's funny, and he is an amazing writer and marketer, but he does such a good job of creating community in his tribe. They have words and phrases that they say that are only in the John Acuff tribe. And so if you follow him on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, or on his scopes, you're gonna see people commenting with stuff that doesn't make sense unless you're part of his tribe. He's done such a great job of building this tribe of raving fans and followers, and he's such an inspiration to me. And he's also a personal friend of mine. We live in the same town, and we get to see each other fairly regularly. And so I just have seen, don't just know him from online, but I know him in real life and know that he's the real deal. So that's John Acuff. Number 2 is Christy from Raising Clovers, who is here today. And so I'm so excited that she's here, and she has a brand new book out called The Scoop on Scope. And if you are thinking about jumping in and starting on Periscope, if you're thinking about, should I try Periscope? Would this be good for my business or blog? Maybe you don't even have a business or blog, but you're thinking of wanting to start something online. Check out Christy's book, The Scoop on Scope. It's available on Amazon as an ebook, and she said that the print book is going to be available very soon. So it's Christy at Raising Clovers. She is a homeschool mom, and she has so much inspiration and energy. She brings so much energy to her scopes. And when I met her, it was a few months ago. I was at a conference and met her and just mentioned offhand that I was thinking of starting scoping, and she gave me so much great advice, and she's been such an inspiration to me as a scoper, and I've learned so much from watching her scope. She's fun, she's funny, and she's so energetic. So if you're a homeschool mom, I think you would really be encouraged, and you would really enjoy following Christy from Raising Clovers. So number 1, John Acuff. Number 2, Christy from Raising Clovers. Number 3, you're welcome, Christy. You so deserve it. Number 3, Shalene Johnson. And I've talked about her a lot, but she's actually the person who inspired me to start scoping. I had heard of this thing called Periscope, and I'd seen John posting some, and I remember asking him, I'm like, is that really worth your time? I mean, they expire in 24 hours. Is it really worth your time? And I felt like most of the scopes that I was seeing were just people kind of saying, here is my backyard, here is the ocean, and just doing things that I thought, what's the value in this? Well, Shalene Johnson convinced me otherwise. I started to see what she was doing on Scope, how she was using her scopes to really help people find out more about her and her business. So not only was she not just getting on there and rambling or showing people the ocean, but she was leading them to her site, which ultimately you want to lead people somewhere and to something. And so I was inspired by watching how she was using Scope to help people find out more about her site, but also, most importantly, how she was using her scopes to give people such valuable information. And I just ate up her scopes, and I still enjoy, I don't catch all of them now, but I still enjoy watching her whenever I have a chance. And her business scopes, especially, as well as her scopes on confidence, I found them to be very, very beneficial. So that's Chalene Johnson. So number 1, John Acuff. Number 2, Christy from Raising Clovers. Number 3, Chalene Johnson. And number 4, Mackenzie Monroe at Bold Turquoise, who is also on here today. It's the West Coast day, I guess. So Mackenzie Monroe from Bold Turquoise, and her handle is Bold Turquoise. Mackenzie is also a homeschool mom, and she is such an inspiration to me. When I first wrote on my Makeover Your Mornings email newsletter, I have a weekly email newsletter that I send out just to people who have purchased Makeover Your Mornings, and it's just a real newsy letter from me. And I sent it out a week or 2 before I was planning to actually hop on Scope, get brave and do my first Scope. And I sent it out and I said, are any of you on Periscope? Because I wondered if my followers had actually heard of Periscope before. Well, Mackenzie wrote me back and she said, I actually am. I have a morning show called Cultivating the Lovely. Now, you guys have to understand that I get a lot of emails and I get a lot of people telling me about their products, about their ebooks, about their shows, about their blog. And I do check them out, but most of the time I just find it's not something that's a good fit for me or not something that is meeting where I'm at right now. But I checked out her show and I fell in love. So every morning, I think it's 6, sometime between 6:30 and 7, am I right, Mackenzie? West Coast, so Pacific Standard Time, that she scopes, and she does the Cultivating the Lovely show, and it's just a show to encourage moms, especially Christian moms, ways that you can cultivate loveliness in your home. And I catch as many of her scopes as I can because she inspires me as a wife and a mom and a homeschool mom, and ways that I can invest in my family and help my family to just cultivate this lovely atmosphere in our home. So that's Mackenzie Monroe at Bold Turquoise. And she also does book clubs and other scopes, and she's really smart about Periscope as well. She's learned a lot of tips and tricks, and she's been around Periscope for a lot longer. She's kind of the grandma, one of the grandmas of Periscope. And so she has a lot of wisdom to share. She's not a grandma, but I'm saying that in jest and saying kind of like I'm a grandma blogger because I've been around for 10 years. She's kind of a grandma scoper because she's been around for a long time in Periscope world, which is not very long. But okay, so my 4 scopers that I love to follow are John Acuff, number 1, number 2, Christy from Raising Clovers, number 3, Chalene Johnson, and number 4, Mackenzie Monroe at Bold Turquoise. So if you have other scopers that you love to follow, leave a comment and tell us, because I would love to know. I would love to check them out. I'm always looking for new scopers to follow who are going to inspire me and teach me and just really help me in my everyday life, and maybe inspire me as a businesswoman or a homeschool mom or a wife, or just as a leader in the sphere that God's put me in. So leave a comment with your favorite scopers, because I would love to hear. Someone asked what the cameras mean instead of the hearts. My daughter, Catherine, actually was just asking this the other day, and so she tested it out, and it's actually when you take a screenshot. I think I got that right. That's what she told me. When you take a screenshot, then it posts to camera instead of a heart. Okay, so leave a comment with your favorites, and I wanted to read a quote from this book, I Used to Be So Organized. This is the book that we're going through this week on my blog and on my scope. We're going to be reading through this. So if you haven't had a chance to get a copy of this book, you could still download the ebook today or see if your library has it. It's by Glennis Whitwer. And so we're reading the first section today, and there was so much in this first section, but I especially loved this quote, and this was by Rick Warren from The Purpose-Driven Life. I haven't even read that book before, can you believe it? But I've heard a lot about it. So this is by Rick Warren. He says, people who don't know their purpose try to do too much, and that causes stress, fatigue, and conflict. It's impossible to do everything people want you to do. Really camp on that. It's impossible to do everything that people want you to do. You have just enough time to do God's will. If you can't get it all done, it means you're trying to do more than God intended for you to do. Now, this really challenged me because the truth is that I have been pretty overwhelmed with life recently. The last few weeks have been very hard and just so many to-dos. And I think some of it is because I used to be so organized, but I haven't been very organized, and that's why I came up with a new or tweaked schedule for this week that we're going to try out, because I felt like maybe that would help. But also I was thinking, am I trying to do more than God intended for me to do? I told you on Thursday that I showed up for a dermatology appointment that I didn't have, and that they had called 3 weeks before to say, your appointment, we need to cancel it, we need to change it. And I had sort of kind of listened to the message, but it never really registered. And so I showed up for this appointment that I didn't have. Well, the next day I had another appointment and I was running late. And Jesse was going to get home, and then he ended up having to stay longer at his meeting. And so by the time he got home, I just ran out the door, and I was stressed and I was frazzled, and I was just beating myself up over the fact that I was not going to be there on time. And then I ended up taking 2 very wrong turns and getting lost. Yes, I even was using my maps on my app, but I somehow got very lost because I'm geographically challenged like that. And I was so stressed and overwhelmed. And when I got to my appointment, I said, you know what? This is going to change. This is going to change. I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't want to feel stressed and overwhelmed. I don't want to feel like I'm always behind, always just barely doing what I have to do, and just, I don't want to live like this anymore. And so I drew a line in the sand, and this weekend I took the weekend off to just really, really rest and refresh. And I was sick, so that helps because I had to take the weekend off. But then I said, okay, what am I going to change? And one of those things is making sure that I'm not doing more than God has called me to do. And so one thing that I'm changing is that I am not going to check my email until 12:30 every single day. 12:30 every single day this week. I am committing to that, guys. So if you get an email from me that's not a pre-scheduled email before 12:30, you need to slap my hand, because that's one thing that I'm changing. And I actually hired an assistant a few months ago, and I've been training her the last few months to get to a place where she can handle most of my email inbox. So I don't need to be in there early in the morning. I don't have to be in there until later in the day. And so I'm not going to check my email until 12:30. The other thing that I'm working on is planning way ahead. So for instance, I have been late to most of my scopes. Pretty late, 15 or 20 minutes late, and that's because I haven't planned ahead. I'll be like 10 minutes before, oh yeah, I need to figure out what I'm going to talk about, and I need to put on some makeup, and that's not how I want to live my life. And so I'm committing to you all that I want to do a better job of being on time for my scopes, because when I'm on time for my scopes, it's an indication to you that probably other things in my life are more under control, and I'm not living life by the seat of my pants, barely making it and feeling like I'm drowning. So I told my husband, I said, I feel like the water has been up to here recently. And some of that is life. There's been some hard things in my life, some hard things with situations, with people and stuff that I've had to deal with. On Friday, I had to set aside all of my projects because there was kind of a really big hard thing that came up that I had to focus on people instead of projects. So that's just life sometimes. But at the same time, a lot of the choices that I'm making aren't putting me in a place where I can have those things come up unexpectedly and it not just completely tank my life. So I want to commit to you all that, one, I am not going to get on and check my email until after 12:30 every day, 12:30 p.m. And I'm also going to commit to you that this week I'm going to try to do a better job of being on time for my scopes, because I want that accountability. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. This book is really convicting me because I feel like I used to be so organized and I have not been very organized recently. And it is causing a lot of havoc and chaos in our life. So I want to be honest about that and let you know that's where I was. And I'm looking forward to reading the rest of this book. So that is I Used to Be So Organized by Glennis Whitworth. In a little while this morning, I'll have the first post. What are you doing? What are you doing, you silly boy? In a little while, I will have the first post up. You're silly. Are you showing them your tooth? Showing them your tooth. Yes, you lost one tooth and you're getting another tooth. Okay, they probably don't want to see inside your mouth though. Okay. Okay, so anyway, that's what I'm going to share with you today. So this afternoon at 3 p.m. Central Time, I'll be doing a scope on how to get a book deal and what that process looks like. And I'll also have the first post for I Used to Be So Organized up this morning on MoneySavingMom.com. And I will look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. Central Time. We will see if I can be on time. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for joining us.